Fuck it, 10 books in 10 days. No, Emily, you should absolutely read A Series in Order. The best horror books I've ever read. Definitely a fuck the rich situation, and not in a good way. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Emily. I love to chat about the library, plants, and other things that I'm doing, and if you are returning, welcome. I sort of blacked out at the library this week and I got more than 10 books, but I got a lot of novellas, specifically 10 novellas, and I would like to read all of them before their due dates at the library. I got 10 novellas because I was in a major reading slump earlier this year and I was like, I just want to get out of this. I really enjoy reading. I need to read. Like, I know that it is relaxing and calming to me and I need that in my life right now. So what I did was I just went to the library, I checked to see what kind of books they had. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to just binge reading novellas to get me out of this slump, because then it's like I can start it in one day, finish it in one day, or at least the next day, and it's not like a prolonged multiple day type of book with my lifestyle and how busy I am right now, and I think that that is going to help me mentally get back into reading. So anyways, I started Watermoon because this is my book club read for this month, and this book actually got me out of my reading slump because it is delightful. I love it so much. I actually have a reading blog on my page if you would like to check it out. But now I'm out of my reading slump and I have 10 fucking books that I borrowed from the library that I had every intention of reading and I actually would like to read. So I thought it'd be fun to like challenge myself a little bit to read 10 books in 10 days and film it as a YouTube video. And if I don't get to all 10 books or I don't read one day, that is totally fine. This is more so a way for me to like pencil out time in my life dedicated towards reading and like, you know, not just scroll on my phone at night or XYZ, whatever, like make sure that I am intentional with my reading. And honestly, I think it's just gonna be a fun challenge for me. So all 10 of these books are pretty short. There's one book that is like 250 pages, maybe a little bit closer to 300 pages, but I am counting this as part of like my 10 books in 10 days because I'm probably just gonna read this on like a weekend where I have nothing to do, or like maybe a Saturday or Sunday that I just don't have anything to do, so I'm able to read a longer book like that. And I know 300 pages is not that long of a book. I mean longer when compared to the rest of the books that I have. So let's go through all 10 books that I have. Some of these I actually have never heard of. Some are authors whose works I have previously enjoyed, so I know that I'm going to enjoy these ones, and some are ones that have just been on my TBR for a while, and so I'm kind of glad to like get into them now. So the first book that I have is The Gurkha and the Lord of Tuesday by Saad Z. Hussain, and I'm actually very excited to read this because first of all the cover is like a really cool like blue. It's not very long. It is less than 100 pages. It's published by Tor, which is one of my favorite like sci-fi and fantasy imprints, and also this book just sounds very interesting. Next book I have is Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson, and this cover 100% sold me on this book. Like, this just feels like something that I would enjoy, and also Guillotine feels very timely in this political climate. What got me to read this book are some of the quotes on the back, so I will read these to you because I personally really like feminine rage, and you know, like I support women's rights and women's wrongs. So I'll read 3 of them to you. The first is from Rory Power. Deliciously brutal and stiletto sharp, Guillotine is the eat the rich horror you've been waiting for. Give me that. Give me that. From Katrina Moore, a feminist fever dream led by a protagonist you can't help but salivate over. I would follow Des Lane straight into hell. Again, give me that. Give me that. And from Clay McLeod Chapman, revenge is a dish best served flambéed, or sautéed, or pounded into an absolute pulp. In Guillotine, you gleefully get all 3 and then some. Eat the rich, fuck the rich. I can't wait to read this book. Next is a book by one of my all-time favorite authors, Rebecca Roanhorse, Thread of Angels. And I've actually been looking for this book for quite a while because I just wanted to read like a standalone book that Rebecca Roanhorse has written. So I'm so glad I found this at my library. And the synopsis is actually a little bit long, so I'm going to read like the very quick synopsis on the back of the book. Celeste, a card sharp with a penchant for trouble, takes on the role of advocate Diablo to defend her sister Marielle, accused of murdering a virtue, a member of the ruling class in the mining town of Guillotine. I'm not sure how to say that. In a new world of dark fantasy from the New York Times bestselling author of Black Sun. And Black Sun was one of my absolute favorite trilogies ever. If you haven't read it, you should go and read it. But anyways, I'm very excited to read this. Again, one of my favorite authors. The next novella that I got is from Alix E. Harrow, A Spindle, Splintered, and I have read Alix E. Harrow's works before. I think they have another short novella. It has 6 in the title, and The 6 Deaths, or The 6 Lives of something or other. I enjoyed it. So when I saw this on my shelf, I was like, yeah, I'll get this book. And I think that this one is actually a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, or no, I think it's Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, a vivid, submersive, and feminist reimagining of Sleeping Beauty. So this sounds like maybe a little bit of like a thriller horror retelling, which sounds very intriguing to me, so I'm very excited to read it. So the next book that I got, Where the Drowned Girls Go by Seanan McGuire. I hope I'm saying that right. I'd actually never heard of this book or this author at all, but they had lots and lots of little novellas in my library, so I was like, well, if I enjoy this, then I can always just go and pick up more of the novellas, so let me try this like new to me author. And I'm actually surprised that personally I've never heard of this author, because apparently they are like amazing at their job. Praise for the Hugo, Novella, Alix, and Locus Award-winning Wayward Children series. They seem to be very talented. I have no idea what this is about. I kind of want to go into it blind, so I'm not going to read like the synopsis, but the cover, I'm actually really loving this. And okay, so my library on the side has like stickers that tell you the genre and stuff. So this is fantasy and sci-fi. I actually thought that this might be like a little bit more thriller, which it might be, but like horror and thriller that encompasses water in some way, and especially like the ocean and things like that, which you can tell on this cover is actually my favorite type of horror, because that shit is terrifying to me. So I like being able to read it and experience it and like feeling those feelings of like being scared without actually like going through it. So excited to read that. Okay, halfway there, I have 5 more books to show you. The next is The Butcher of the Forest by, hang on, let me get Premee Mohamed. I hope I said their name correctly, but this is also another Tor publishing group book, and I love Tor. This cover is actually like really stunning. Let me see if I can like show it to you a little bit better. So this book is also written by someone who is very good at their job. It says, a world-weary woman races against the clock in this dark, otherworldly fantasy fairy tale from Nebula and World Fantasy Award-winning author Premee Mohamed. I'm very, very, very intrigued about this, because this definitely seems like more on the horror side, and actually one of the quotes on the back leads me to believe that, because it says, woven with the dark and adrenaline-like intricacy of the medieval tapestry, this novella implicates the reader as an accomplice in its monstrosity. It's exactly the kind of punishment we as readers deserve. Give it to me. Give it to me. I'm so excited to get to this book. The 7th book that I have is The City in Glass by Nghi, and I'm actually very, very, very excited to read this. I have downloaded this from Libby like 3 different times, and my loan just keeps on like expiring, and I've been wanting to get this for so long, because it's fantasy but it also has a little bit of like romance in it, so very excited to get to this. A little bit different than the rest of the books that I have, and I finally found this on the shelf at my library, so I did pick it up. This is another one that I kind of want to go into blind. I feel like this one might break my heart a little bit. So it says, a demon, an angel, a city, a very long synopsis, and at the very end, The City in Glass is both a brilliantly constructed history and an epic love story of death and resurrection, memory and transformation, redemption and desire, strong enough to reduce a world to ashes and remake it anew. Yeah, I picked that one up. And the last 2 novellas that I picked up were actually 2 from Kingfisher, and I have really enjoyed their writing. I've read 2 of their books before, but I got What Feasts at Night and What Stalks the Deep, and these are 2 books in the same series. I hope they can be read as standalones, because it says that the Sworn Soldier series, the first book is What Moves the Dead, and I do not have that book. My library did not have that book, so I'm really hoping I can skip the first book and get to book 2 and 3. And I did actually place a hold for book 1. Maybe, hopefully it comes in before I get to these books. We'll see. I have no idea. But with Kingfisher, I have found that going blind into their books is like the best way to do it, because the writing is just very like whimsical and shocks you at some points. Now this is definitely a horror series, you can tell by the covers, hopefully. I'm very excited to get to these. And the last book that is a little bit longer, not quite a novella, is Bad Creed by Jessica Jones. I've seen a lot of my mutuals reading this book, raving about it, marking it as one of their favorite books they read last year, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I saw it on my bookshelf, my library's bookshelf, definitely picked it up. This is the one that's like just a little bit less than 300 pages, so I'll probably read it on like a Saturday or Sunday. Sorry, it's actually 254 pages. But it says, in this gripping horror-laced debut, a Cree woman's dreams led her to a perilous journey that forces her to confront the toll of a legacy of violence on her family, her community, and the land they call home. I just love horror books, and yeah, no, I'm very, very, very excited to read it. I think I'm going to try probably to read this one first because I'm filming this like intro on a Saturday. So this one I think I have to finish my book club pick, which I think I can finish tonight. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to start one of these books. Probably going to be this book. I'm really excited to get this book. I've seen nothing but good things about it. Yeah, there's not much more to say. So these are all 10 of the books. Let me get them all here. All 10 of the books. Let me get them all 10. All 10. If you've read any of them, let me know. But this is going to be kind of a different type of reading vlog. I don't know how the reading vlog is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to give like a little review of each book after I've read them. Maybe just like a very quick, like whether I liked it or not, what I liked about it. Like lesson. I just dropped all the books. All right, let's get on with it. Okay, it's like 4 o'clock on Sunday, and I did just finish this book, and it is phenomenal. So good. I am going to need a minute to sit with my thoughts about it because I have lots of thoughts, but this is probably one of like the best horror books I've ever read. I'm so glad I picked this up from my library. Book number 1 is officially done in this challenge. I will see you guys tomorrow for book number 2. Good morning. It's day 2 of my 10-day reading vlog, and I decided the book that I'm going to read today is The City in Glass by Nghi. I need to look up how to pronounce this author's names because I feel like I'm butchering it. But I actually woke up before work today to read a little bit of this book, and I got to page 56, which was pretty good for like a little bit of a morning reading session. I didn't film any of it because it was just like way too early to even think about setting up my camera. This book is actually on a little bit on the longer side of the books that I had to choose from at like just over 200 pages. I actually decided to read this book today because I have a couple chores that I need to do, so I wanted to listen to an audiobook, and this book was available as an audiobook on Libby, available now through the Philadelphia Library. So I think I'm going to pick up where I left off, which is chapter 7 of the audiobook version while I do a couple chores and like work out and stuff. And then throughout the day, as I'm able to read at work, I'll pick up the physical book, and then I will check back in with you guys after work to see where we're at and how much I have left to finish for tonight. Okay, so I finally finished The City in Glass, and I'm gonna need a couple days to like sit with my thoughts about this book because honestly I think I was just too stupid to be reading this book. First impression thoughts are that it was a little bit mid, but I genuinely think I just like didn't get the book. And I will say that my library had a romance sticker on it, so I was expecting a lot more romance. This has a lot of like romantic undertones, but I would not consider it romance. So I do think what I was expecting from the book was not what it actually was, which was maybe like false marketing from the library, which is fine. Definitely gonna need a couple days to like really sit with my thoughts and think about this book. And honestly, I think I might read a couple of other people's reviews just to see if I like missed something or you know, like what they thought, because sometimes whenever I'm feeling like very confused about a book, I'll actually like engage with other people's reviews that they have posted publicly online about that book, so that way I can like decipher my thoughts and like put them into words and, you know, be able to write a review. Anyways, second book down, finally finished. It's a little bit late, so I'm gonna go to bed, and tomorrow morning I will choose my next book for this little read along. Jump scare. I just got out of the shower. I just got off work and just got out of the shower because what I was supposed to do tonight, the roads are still so bad that I'm actually like not leaving my house. So I was like, I needed to wash my hair anyway. So I just took a shower after work. I feel so much better than I did after work. And I picked a book that I'm going to read today as the third book as part of my 10 books in 10 days challenge. I'm going to read Where the Drowned Girls Go. And I think I just need like a little bit of a sci-fi thriller right now, so I'm gonna start this one tonight. It is only like 150 pages. I think it might actually be, yeah, no, exactly 150 pages, so I can definitely finish this in just like a couple hours. I'm really hoping that this is a book that I can just kind of like immerse myself in tonight and not think about anything else, because I just need a really good story like that. So I will be starting this book right after I eat dinner, and if I film any B-roll content, this will probably still stay on my head because I just don't want to blow my hair dry yet. So it's probably going to stay in my head. We're not going to talk about it. Okay, so I finally finished this book, and it was not at all what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be much more of like a thriller vibe type of story. It wasn't really that so much as like fantasy, except I did not realize that this was the last book in a 7-book series, and I definitely think it worked as a standalone. And I should have known because they're actually all on the back of the book. But so the premise of this story is that there's like this school for wayward children, and all of these children are children who have been like suicidal, or they felt really alone and they just wanted to like get away. Nobody missed them, you know, they wanted to get away. So these doors opened up for them, and it leads them to a different world where they get like superpowers in some way. Like someone can talk to like horses or like any animal that has hooves. Another one turns into like a mermaid. Another one was like her body and blood and stuff like that turned into like candy. It like there's like it's just kind of like all over the place, very crazy. Eventually they leave this alternate world and come back to their you know, like the normal world, like Earth, like that we know. Their parents are like, what the fuck, who are you? I want you to be back to normal. So they send them to these like schools to get them back to normal, you know? So I'm sure there's like, it's like 9:30. I'm sure there's like way better analogies, and I'm probably saying this like in a way that makes no sense. But anyway, so the 6 books before this were all books, I think, for each of the girls. And so this last book is all of the girls at this school. And it's like Where the Drowned Girls Go. It's like Where the Forgotten Girls Go, you know? So it's like their story there. Anyways, even though it was the last book in the series, I didn't really think that I was like missing too much of the rest of the books. It actually made me want to like go back and read all of these books and all of the girls' stories. And I think when I was going through all of the books that I got from the library, I was like, I hope I like this book because there were many there from the author. Yeah, bitch, it's because it was the rest of the series. Yeah, okay. Overall, I think my initial review of this is that I really enjoyed it. And this was actually, I think, the exact book that I needed to read today, so I'm really glad I picked it up. But yeah, this was also shelved in like the adult fiction section. I don't think it's adult. I think that this could be considered YA actually. I would definitely have to read the rest of the books to like see if they all can be YA, but I think that it could probably be YA. Like if you picked this up thinking it was going to be like a high fantasy or just a fantasy novella and you did not like YA books, I don't think you would have liked this. Successfully completed day 3, book 3 of my 10-day reading challenge, which I'm going to be so honest, I really thought that I was going to like bomb this, but I also wanted to like challenge myself, so happy with my progress. Tomorrow I have a ton of time to read, so I might be crazy and read 2 novellas. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not though, because I kind of miss doing Sudoku puzzles. So that's that. Anyways, see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys. So it's actually been a couple days since I filmed my last video because I've been a little sick. But I am still on track to be reading 10 books in 10 days. So the last 2 books that I read, book 4 was a Splintered, and I'll get to this one in a minute. And I also read Tread of Angels. I keep saying Thread of Angels, but Tread of Angels. And this book, okay, before I get ahead of myself. So I'm now officially halfway through this challenge. Really loving it. I have 5 books left, and I think I might actually try to finish it up this weekend, just because like I don't have too much going on this weekend, and I think it would be nice to like start February off strong and start reading some books by Black authors for Black History Month, even though you should be reading diversely year-round. During February, I do try to read all books by Black authors, and I do have a couple on my bookshelf that I need to get to. So I want to kind of start those and just kind of like not be done with this challenge, but like be done with this challenge. So I'm having so much trouble saying this book. A Spindle Splintered by Alix E. Harrow. This was okay. I think I'm being a little bit too critical of this book because it felt like it belonged in 2016 Tumblr era, where it was like, okay, so the main character has a disability, a genetic disability where her body is basically like fighting itself, and she's going to very soon. And her favorite Disney princess is Sleeping Beauty. So on her 21st birthday, her friends throw her this big Sleeping Beauty themed party, and one of it has like a spindle where she pokes her finger on it, and when she pokes her finger on it, she actually gets transported into like a different dimension of the actual Sleeping Beauty. And that Sleeping Beauty is also on her 21st birthday, and they end up like sort of going on this adventure together to find the evil witch who put this curse on the actual Sleeping Beauty. And we come to find out that this witch who has put curses on all of the other Disney princesses was because she knew that they did not want to marry men. So it was kind of like a queer-ish retelling. And I say queer-ish because the 2 main characters of like our modern world are queer, and Sleeping Beauty is also queer, but there is no like queer really relationship in it. So I didn't want you to like go into it thinking that there was like a queer relationship between any of the characters. It's just the characters are queer. And I did think that this was a horror-ish book, like a horror-ish retelling. It's not really horror at all. So I think I just went into it with the wrong idea of the book. It was very short. I read it in like 1 sitting, but it was fine. You know, I'm not mad that I read it. I wouldn't pick it up again. I probably wouldn't own it on my bookshelf. It was fine. This book, however, again, read this, and again, a book that solidifies Rebecca Roanhorse as a freaking mastermind and an auto-buy author on my bookshelf. It was very good. I actually really like the size of the book, where like the books are pretty small. So it's like pretty small. You can tell, right? Yeah, so it's a little bit shorter. And it has, I kept my bookmark in here because I wanted to show you. It's like the exact size of a bookmark. And I don't know, I think that was just really fun. Not that that like hindered my enjoyment at all, but this book was also very good. It had a lot of like angels and demons, and the sister of the main character she had woken up next to a man who was like completely castrated, blood everywhere, and then these angels like came and took her and are putting her on trial, but there's not actually like a trial with like lawyers and stuff. It's like weighing your soul in what God thinks is like good and bad, but she comes from a line of fallen people, or like from fallen angels, so she's like inherently bad in their eyes, right? So there's like no winning. And if that's not a fucking metaphor for today's day and age. I don't know what is. I could not put this book down. It is small but mighty. Pick this one up. I actually think so far this is my favorite book of like the first 5 that I read. I have completed first 5 books in this challenge. I have 5 more to go. I don't know what book I'm reading next because I have a couple chores around my house that I need to do, and then also like some errands that I need to run, and it's also -4 degrees. It's -4 degrees where I live. Anyway, so my next update will probably be the next 1 or 2 books that I read. Probably tonight. There's a Pens game on, so my husband's going to be watching that. I'll probably kind of watch that in the background while I'm reading, and yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, while I was sick, I did my nails. Do you guys want to see it? Aren't they cute? They're for Valentine's Day. I love them. My nails only stay on for about... Actually, this is not what this video is about. We can talk about that in another video. Okay, bye. Okay, so I'm officially done with books 6. I lost all of the B-roll to book 7. I have no idea where it went. I filmed it this weekend. I don't know. My SD card is like... I always get an error when I put it in my Digi, and it's like... not corrupt, but it's like... it has a slow speed or something like that. So I don't know. Anyways, this is the first time I've ever lost footage. So I lost footage of that. That's okay, because you guys are probably sick of watching me read with my dogs running all over me. So book 6 was Guillotine, and this book... this was just as good as I was hoping it to be. Definitely a fuck the rich situation, and not in a good way. I'm obsessed with the main character who was using this like frat boy who doesn't even know where the clit is to like achieve her dreams, and using him to get to his mom, whose mom is like the CEO or the editor-in-chief of this magazine that she wants to write for. Was it a magazine, or it was she wants to work in fashion? I can't remember. Or maybe it was both. I can't remember. Anyways, they take them to the island. It's called the island because they don't want to name it, so that way it's like not found on a map. And while she's there, this is the first time that her boyfriend, Patrick, has brought anybody along. She has to sign an NDA as soon as she gets onto the island, and it's like, you can't tell anybody about this, you can't talk to the staff, da-da-da-da-da. But her mom is actually a cleaner who like is in service to all of these rich people, not the rich people who she's visiting, but just rich people in general. So she is very much like, fuck that, I'm talking to like the help, like they're people too, you know? So the help is dressed in like all pink, which is kind of like the point of the cover of the book. All pink, so you can tell who they are, which I think is super fucked up. And they end up revolting and killing everyone in the family, but they save her because she is like nice to them and also helps them kill the family. I don't know. It was very good. I'm really glad that I read this. If you also are like, fuck the rich, you should read this book. And then the next book that I read that I don't have any footage of is The Butcher of the Forest, which if you remember, I was like so excited to read this book. It was mid. I'm sorry. It was mid. It wasn't that good. I didn't love it. I wasn't really that into it. I was honestly pretty bored as I was reading it. And this is only like, I don't know. It's only like 150 pages. And one thing about this novella, there's actually no chapters. Like, it's just one book straight through. And so it was really hard for me to like get back into it once I picked it up again, because I didn't read it all in one sitting, but I had to like go back and read like the last page so I could remember what was going on, because it wasn't like a clean cut, you know? So that mixed with this story having absolutely no background or world building surrounding this forest and all of the creatures and the magical beings that are in this forest and who they are and what they do and how they came to be, like there just wasn't really a lot that like went into it. So I just like didn't really care about the journey that they were going on. So basically, Varys has been the only one to ever enter this forest and come out alive. And so the tyrant, the king of this land, calls her and is like, you must go in the forest and save my children because my children went in yesterday and they haven't come out. And she was like, well, dude, you're kind of fucked because they only get 48 hours in the forest until they are like kept in the forest. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. But he's like, I'm going to murder your entire family and your entire village if you don't go and rescue my children. And she's like, okay. So she goes into the forest and has to like find these children, but she ends up like meeting these creatures who she had met and worked with and knows from the last time that she was in the forest, and you don't really know if it's like a good or bad thing that they remember her and that she knows them. Eventually she ends up finding these children, and then she's able to like bring them out, and there's like things that happened and not everyone makes it out alive, and you know, a general like horror story. The journey itself was not that good, and like the horror aspects of it, not that good. The fantasy aspects of it, not really that good. Overall, I was just like pretty bored with this book. I am glad that I finished the book because I think the ending was pretty good. But to read like 130 pages and be bored, and then like only like the last 20 pages, that's not really my kind of book. So I'm not mad that I read it. I don't really know that I would recommend it. I think there's just better horror books out there. Case in point, I am now starting the Kingfisher books that I have, and there's a slight change of plans because I remember I was telling you about one book that I can't remember the name of right now, but it has the really pretty blue cover, and that's like the whole reason I picked up the book. I actually am not going to be reading that one as part of my 10 books in 10 days challenge because I got book 1 of this series off of Libby. It finally came in. I can't believe it came in so fast, but I actually got it on audiobook. So I'm in the middle of that book right now. Wow, is that book so good. That's what I want in like a horror book, like a horror, like, yeah. So I'm excited to finish that book up, and then after that I can get to books 2 and 3 in the series, and I'll have read the entire series. I think I'm going to love this. I really like body horror and plant horror and stuff like that, so this is like right up my alley. It's really good so far. I'm really loving it. So these are going to be my books 8, 9, and 10 as part of my challenge. So I think what I'm going to do is just read all 3 of them at the very end, give a review of all 3 of them, so that way you guys can be done with this video because I know it's already like really fucking long. And then at the end, I'll just kind of give a little recap of how this challenge went, if I ever will do it again. Spoiler alert, I probably won't for a very long time because this is pretty demanding. So yes, I am finishing this up, and then I can finally get onto my books for Black History Month. So yeah.
3 days later.
I finally finished this reading challenge. I finished the last 3 books that I was reading for this reading challenge, the Sworn Soldier series by Kingfisher. I am so glad that I read this series, and I'm also so glad that I read book 1 before book 2 and 3, because if you will remember at the beginning of this video, I was like, nah, it should be fine. No, Emily, you should absolutely read a series in order. So I got the first book in this series, What Moves the Dead, as an audiobook from my local library. The audiobook was just so good, and the narrator was perfection that I ended up listening to books 2 and 3 also on audiobook. And the reason I say you have to read book 1 before book 2 and 3 is because while it does follow the same main character and we're narrated through their POV, it's not too reliant on like remembering the past adventures that they went on, but more so the past side characters that they had met. That being said, I did post on my Instagram stories that I was loving the narration of this book, and I had a few people DM me and say that the narrator, whose name I cannot remember right now, it's AV something, is a fantastic narrator, and they actually find audiobooks for that narrator, which I've never had a narrator that I like vibe with so much because I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I think that this might actually be the first one that I might actually do this for. Anyways, the first book in the series, What Moves the Dead, is we meet this main character, Alix, who is a sworn soldier, well, really like a retired soldier, and low-key has PTSD. So Alix is alerted that their childhood friend, Madeline, is very sick, so of course they go to their aid and their bedside. But whenever they get there, they actually realize something is not quite right. This was a really eerie and creepy book. There's fungal growths, there's possessed wildlife. At one point, they think the lake is like infected with this fungus, and that's of course like what they think their source of drinking water is. And there's one scene in this book that I think will actually live with me forever, and it is the scene of the zombie rabbits where Alix actually like shoots one of the rabbits, and then they just get up and like start crawling, and then next thing you know, Alix is like surrounded by rabbits on all sides of them, and like it's really fucking creepy. It was also really fucking good, which is why I immediately picked up book 2, What Feasts at Night, and this also follows Alix, where they're indebted to this side character, Miss Potter, who helped them in book 1, and they end up going to their inherited home only to find their caretaker dead, the home in disarray, and there's a very strange and like uncanny silence whenever they get to the house, and the locals actually think that there is this like strange, breath-stealing being from Galatian folklore that has taken up residence in Alix's house, and that's actually how their caretaker died. And this folklore being also like shows up in dreams, and it's all just like, it's very, very eerie, very weird, and I do not like paranormal things like ghosts. I do not fuck with. I'm not going to haunted mansions. I know I look like a bad bitch. No, I don't do any of that. Anyways, again, this book was very creepy and also very good. Now you would think by book 3 that Alix would just stop helping their friends, stay at home, not go anywhere. In book 3, What Stalks the Deep, we actually follow Alix with this other side character from book 1, Mr. Denton. They ask Alix to help him find his lost cousin. Their cousin went to like this undergrave coal mine that is supposedly haunted in West Virginia. Haunted West Virginia underground coal mine. I was fully expecting like Appalachian folklore stuff in here. There wasn't really much of that. This was like a zombie alien type of thing almost. It was very fucking weird. And to put on top of that, they also go into like these caves that are underground, and I hate small spaces. I cannot watch the videos of like cave crawlers and people like their head being smushed in rock. Like, ugh, I literally can't do that. So reading about that kind of stuff was also really fucking creepy. There was just like many layers to this book. I feel like each book had their own different type of creepiness, and each one was just as creepy as the last. But there was also so much that happened in each one of these books that they felt like standalones. Like they could have worked all as standalones. I didn't feel like you were just reading the same book over and over again, even though you wanted to be like, Alix, sit the fuck home. Don't go anywhere. I did read one book by Kingfisher before. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember that I didn't really like it too much, and I'm so glad that I gave them a second chance with this series, because I definitely will be reading more books by them, because these 3 books were phenomenal. And overall, I'm actually really glad that I completed this challenge, and I am especially glad to return all of the library books that are sitting on my little cart, because I like need space to put more books and I want to get more library books. So I can't wait to return these after I'm done filming this. I might do another reading challenge like this. I don't know. I don't super love putting myself in constraints like 24-hour reading challenges, 10-day reading challenge, things like that, because I just feel like stuff in my life just pops up so fast. And if I don't feel like reading one day, like I want to not read, you know what I mean? So like having challenges like this, it's fun, few and far between, not all the time. But overall, I am really glad that I read this, because I had a ton of novellas that I've been wanting to get to anyway, so this was a great excuse to finally pick them up. And I was trying to pick like one book that I loved the most out of this series. I don't think that I could pick any of them. I think if it had to go in order, it would be Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse, Bad Cree by Jessica Johns, and then the Sworn Soldier series by T. Kingfisher. I can't choose any of them because they're all different in different ways. Like they all are good in different ways, so I can't just choose one. But these are the 5 that have stuck with me, the ones that I will be recommending, and the ones that I'm actually so glad that I completed this challenge just to be able to have read these books. Okay, I've been yapping about books like way too long, so I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Live, laugh, love you all. Live, laugh, love the library. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and I actually have a new YouTube posting schedule that I will be implementing by the time this video is being released, but I'm posting new videos every weekend morning, and that just aligns better with my schedule, so be on the lookout for that, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!